On the heels of a jaw-dropping SummerSlam that saw Seth Rollins stun the world with the ruse of the summer, WWE rolled into Brooklyn's Barclays Center for Raw on Netflix. What did Rollins have to say following his earth-shattering Money in the Bank cash-in that netted him the World Heavyweight Championship? Just 5 minutes after CM Punk outlasted Gunther in a grueling main event to win the title himself. Find out now with this recap of last night's show, which also featured Chapter 3 in the rivalry between Sheamus and Rusev. Hey there, welcome everybody to another edition of Ridiculously Raw. I am your host, Anthony Florio. Of course, as we all know, Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and Streamy.com today. Once again, I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by the phenom, Michael Bullock. Not often we say this, but we are awaiting the presence of good old MF Michael Fletcher. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back with us Friday night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. Monday Night Raw, the fallout from SummerSlam, live last night from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, which had hosted 4 previous SummerSlams before, 2015 all the way to 18. And we started it off with an in-ring segment. Just 48 hours removed from pulling off one of the greatest ruses in WWE history, new World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins hit the ring to kick off the show, flanked by the Oracle Paul Heyman, Big Bronson Reed, and Braun Breaker. Heyman recapped the events of SummerSlam before turning the mic over to the Visionary. He said, "Shame on every single one of you who turned your back on me." Rollins chastised the fans in Brooklyn. "Shame on every single person in that locker room who made it their mission to stop me from successfully cashing in my Money in the Bank briefcase. They think they're so smart. They think they're so clever," he added before warning everyone that he always has a plan B. Rollins hoisted his title overhead and exclaimed, "This is the way forward. This is the vision," potentially finally naming his faction. LA Knight interrupted Rollins to a thunderous ovation. He claimed Rollins did not fake his injury to cash in Money in the Bank, but rather to avoid the beating that was coming his way at the hands of the megastar. He challenged Rollins for a world title match, to which Rollins fired up the crowd before uttering no and walking out. Raw General Manager Adam Pearce appeared and officially announced LA Knight versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship in the main event, with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker banned from ringside. LA Knight interjecting himself in the proceedings made sense within the context of the story. He never had the chance to wrap things up with Rollins, and as the last guy to pin the Visionary, it was only logical that he would target him and the World Heavyweight Championship. There was not nearly enough CM Punk talk here. One would have thought Rollins would have been giddy over the idea of rubbing it into the straight-edge superstar. Perhaps it is to preserve excitement for his potential appearance later in the show? Maybe. But nonetheless, very, very good way to start the show here. So, not much more to say on that. Michael Bullock, how about this? Seth Rollins cuts a promo, takes his victory lap, interrupted by LA Knight, and Adam Pearce makes it official. Seth Rollins, LA Knight, World Heavyweight Championship main event. Breaker and Reed barred from ringside.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this was a good promo. I mean, basically, Rollins was basically rubbing it on everybody, saying, you know what, shame on you for turning up, and shame on those that tried to stop him from cashing in the Money in the Bank. And remember what he said before, that there was always a plan B. And this was obviously his plan B when he faked that the injury that we saw on Saturday night's main event against LA Knight, and we saw the ruse of the century at SummerSlam when we all thought he was limping and all that, but that he was fine, cashed in Money in the Bank, and literally stole the World Heavyweight Championship from CM Punk after going through a grueling main event against Gunther. And Again, I say it to you, Florio. What's been the whole point of Seth freaking Rollins the whole time?
To make sure with every fiber in his being that CM Punk never, ever holds the World Heavyweight Championship as long as he's around.
And the thing is, Florio, when he says that, what's the thing you got to do?
You got to rub the salt in the wounds. You got to
you got to take it to the bank.
Money in the bank.
When the visionary says something, you better believe him and take it to the bank. And that's what he did. He made good on his promise. And you could tell. I mean, LA Knight, of course, comes out with some unfinished business on Seth freaking Rollins, and then all of a sudden he wants a world heavyweight title match, and then Rollins pumped the crowd and then said no. But Adam Pearce comes out, and boy howdy, Anthony Florio, let's just say Adam Pearce was not happy with Seth freaking Rollins, saying, wait a minute, you and the medical team lied to me, and what is the last thing you want to do, Florio, when you do something like that to him?
You don't want to pull a fast one on Adam Pearce, because if he finds out that you're faking an injury or putting one over on him, he's going to get you.
And what's the one thing you don't want to have from Adam Pearce? What's the one thing you always say?
You don't want to make him angry.
Angry Adam Pearce.
The best Adam Pearce.
Yeah. Seth Rollins may have rubbed him the wrong way with the faking that injury. And yeah, don't think for a minute that he's going to forget about it. So he made the match saying, you know what? You will defend the World Heavyweight Championship tonight. And that is official. It's yours, Florio.
All right. We got good old MF Michael Fletcher here. So, MF, we just talked about the opening segment. We just need your thoughts on the opening segment. Seth Rollins with the victory lap, and interrupted by LA Knight. And Adam Pearce makes a huge night after SummerSlam main event. Seth Rollins, LA Knight for the heavyweight championship of the world. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed barred from ringside.
Yeah, no, that was a big deal. No doubt about it. I think a lot of people are still a little bitter at Seth freaking Rollins for what he did, especially how he won the World Heavyweight Championship. He basically conned everybody. Everybody thought that he was, that he was hurt, that he was legitimately hurt, especially after that match at the Saturday night's main event. And he made everybody look like a bunch of fools. He basically manipulated the situation, took the opportunity, and made it, whatever he needed to make it. A lot of people were bitter at Seth freaking Rollins, including Adam Pearce, and Pearce basically laid down the law. He was like, yeah, you may have gotten over on us, but you're going to pay for what you did, for lying to us with your injury and the whole 9 yards, and you were going to have to pay the consequences. And that was to fight the man that you lost at Saturday night's main event to LA Knight. And more importantly, it was now going to be for the World Heavyweight title. So, I mean, you want to talk about a big moment. And yes, the fans in Brooklyn got a treat and a half to see a title fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. I mean, dude, I would, what we would give to have a match for the heavyweight championship of the world? Heck yeah. So, Brooklyn, you definitely won on the lottery that night to get that match for the world title. Heck yes. Absolutely great way to start Monday Night Raw. Anthony, it's yours. First fight of the night. Let's go.
And you started off, MF. Here you go. This is right up your alley. Be a man fight. Here we go. The rubber match. Sheamus versus Rusev. Rusev has won. Sheamus has won. But unfortunately, this one ended in a double countout after an even 10 minutes. And they spent the majority of the show afterwards basically having a brawl anywhere you could have it, backstage, all around, you know it. And I said it in our messenger chat last night, MF. I think there's only one logical way to settle this. A good old-fashioned Donnybrook.
Oh yeah, it has to be a good old fashioned Donnybrook. It has to be a brawl. It needs to be a fight. It needs to get serious. And without a doubt, this was exactly what it needed it to be. I'm not mad about this. This is one of those type of fights. It's basically no bread, no water, just meat, baby. That's exactly what this fight was, and that's exactly what it needed it to be. Two big horses don't like each other. They basically tore Brooklyn down, and I'm surprised they didn't take this fight over to the freaking Brooklyn Bridge, which is not far from Atlantic Avenue, where this Monday Night Raw was. Oh, by the way, yes, family on my dad's side of the family, fellow New Yorkers. I know that area really well through my vacations that I used to do when I was a little kid. So yeah, I know that area pretty well. I know about the 5 boroughs of New York City. If you want to know, I even had, and I want to give a shout out to my brother who lived in one of those 5 boroughs right now. I got a lot of family in New York that lives in the 5 boroughs. So yeah, it's well represented, especially with the Fletcher family, and I loved it. So yeah, this was a pretty hot start, to say the very least. I enjoyed it, and even though the match ended in a double count out, I'm willing to give it 2.5 stars because of the melee and the chaos and what was entailed after the fact. But nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I'm giving it 2.5 as well. I mean, like you said, I mean, because of the double count out. I mean, if it weren't for that, I would have given this maybe 3, maybe 3.25. But I'm bumping it down to 2.5 because of the double count out. It was just too good for it to give it a no rating. So yeah, this has to be an old fashioned Donnybrook for this to settle this once and for good. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah, this was 2.5 to 3 for the effort here. I'll tell you what. The fans were not the only ones dismayed by the result, though, as the two combatants continued their brawl, fending off security and referees as their hatred for each other proved uncontrollable. Sheamus and Rusev are seemingly incapable of having a bad match. While this was not nearly as good as their previous 2 encounters, it was a means to an end as far as setting up one last battle between the two. Rusev appears to be rejuvenated and is doing some of the best work of either of his runs in WWE with the Celtic Warrior right now. This was 2.5 to 3, no question about it. So with that being said, let's move on to our next match. And it was Penta squaring off against Grayson Waller. And Penta wins the match 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Michael Bullock, you started off. Penta winning over Grayson Waller 8:20.
Yeah, I'll give this about maybe a 2.5, 2.75. I mean, nice win for Penta, but basically afterwards, the New Day tried to jump Penta and were unsuccessful, and Penta stole that hat of Xavier Woods, which was a little entertaining to say the very least. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah. Give me one. All right. Perfectly acceptable wrestling that saw Penta look strong and pick up a convincing win against a guy in Grayson Waller who can get over with any crowd regardless of whether he wins or loses. Penta is still incredibly over with audiences and hopefully has a chance to rebuild some of the momentum that he lost on the road to SummerSlam when he faded into the background. This is 2.5 to 2.75 of a star easily. I 100% agree with Bullock's rating on that. So not much more to say. MF, Penta over Grayson Waller, 8:20.
Yes, solid matchup. I'll give it the 2.5 to 2 3/4. But I gotta say it, man. It was a meme-worthy moment. Penta doing the smooth operator walk with that hat. Oh my God, the internet was ablaze last night. All my colleagues were all laughing their butts off over it. I had a good chuckle over it. Yes, for the first time in a long time, and I'll openly admit it, he got me to do the hyena laugh. He got me to do the whooping hyena. He got me, Florio. You know that laugh. You know how infamous it is.
Ooping laugh. Oh yeah,
The whooping
I know
laugh.
that ooping laugh.
He got me. He got me doing it. And you know personally what I've been going through. I needed Penta did it. He got me really good. I was it was entertaining as hell, and I loved every freaking minute of it. So yeah, nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
What was that hat anyway? Oh,
Have you ever seen one of those? I want to say it's like a colonial style hat that they normally do for like funerals or something like that. It's more of a southern. I don't want to offend people, but I think it's a southern thing. I think that's like a southern belle type hat that they would use for like a funeral. I don't know why. I just think it is, but yeah, it was definitely that hat was over the top to say the very least.
Yeah. I saw someone on social media saying something like Kung Lao from Mortal Kombat. I mean, oh my. But
I'm thinking more Raiden from Mortal Kombat with that hat, but Kung Lao definitely would be another a wise choice. And yes, I do love my Mortal Kombat 2, folks.
Of course. One of the great franchises of all time, no doubt. All right. All right, so let's set this up here. Then we had a victory lap, if you will, for the new women's tag team champions, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, interrupted by the former champions, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day. They threw down, and Adam Pearce gives us another impromptu championship match on this show. Return match from SummerSlam. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, defending the women's tag team championship match, defending the women's tag team championships, I should say, against Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. And the winners of the match in 12 minutes and 45 seconds, and still the women's tag team champions, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Okay. Charlotte said in a joke, "That might be my first You Deserve It chant." Ha. The promo that preceded the match was awful and clearly written by someone tone deaf to the team of Flair and Bliss and why it has worked to this point. But the match, though, luckily, the match was fun and reminded viewers why Judgment Day are former champions without having to give them the win to do it. Both teams looked great. The finish was creative. And, of course, the right team went over to the delight of the crowd. 3.25, 3.5 stars. Up to that point, the fight of the night here. Overall, it was the second best. I think there was one that was a little better, but nonetheless, I think 3.25 to 3.5 is the correct rating for this matchup. So not much more for me to add. So MF, Charlotte and Alexa, still the women's tag team champions, defeating Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez to retain the titles. 12 minutes, 45 seconds, time of the fall.
Yeah, solid matchup, no doubt about it. I'll even go as far to say, 3 stars for me. It was definitely the body of work that really made the difference in the fight, but they did a really good job with it. I really got nothing bad to say. I think the right team went over. So yes, the promo was a little rough. I mean, I get why they're trying to do, but they didn't really need to do that to get us to that tag team fight. Fine, it is what it is, but I enjoyed it. I'm happy with it. I like the outcome. And I am definitely digging this Charlotte Flair Alexa Bliss tag team. The Strange Bedfellows is really working, and like I said, the other night when they won the titles at SummerSlam, when we were doing the recap, it's humanized Charlotte Flair now. We're starting to see the Ice Queen starting to melt a little bit and become a lot more nicer, a lot more cooler. Now, there was the moment where she tried to glow and hold both tag team titles, but I loved what Alexa did by basically ripping the other title, the tag team championship, off Charlotte's waist and showing it off to the crowd. You could say like, yeah, we know, but we're champions, not just you. So you could tell they're trying to throw the we are friends, but there's still a little bit of some friction there. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought they did a good job with it. Bullock, it's yours.
Basically, the female equivalent of Team Hell No.
Yeah, you could definitely say that. I could definitely see that, no doubt about it. So, 3.25. I'll give that rating. Yeah, the segment was a little rough. I mean, but hey, at least we got a good match here. But the right team, I think, basically went over. I mean, you weren't going to take the titles off of them after just winning it at SummerSlam. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to add on. So, let's move on, Florio.
Okay. Then we had a non-title match. Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Dominic Mysterio versus Dragon Lee of the LWO. Dominic Mysterio wins the match in 8.5 minutes. That's 8 minutes and 30 seconds. MF, okay. We know the original El Grande Americano, Chad Gable, is out with injury. They repackaged the gimmick with Ludwig Kaiser. Now we saw another El Grande Americano show up a week ago. And then last night, we've got ourselves a third. Now I'm hearing Los Grande Americanos here. I mean, I have no idea what in the world is going on here. 3 El Grande Americanos. 1 Ludwig Kaiser. I'm hearing another is Pete Dunne. I have absolutely no idea who this other one is, but nonetheless, Dominic Mysterio winning 8.5 minutes over Dragon Lee.
This is getting insane. But the thing is that the more El Grande Americanos come out, the more interesting it's getting. And it's turning into a Power Ranger crew. I mean, it is getting nuts what's going on. Yes, we heard it was Ludwig first. Then we know it's Ludwig who's El Grande Americano Prime was Chad Gable. But Gable is out with an injury. So then they brought a second. That one's Ludwig Kaiser. The third one, supposedly the rumor going around that it is Pete Dunne. But now there's a fourth. I don't know who this is. I honestly don't know who this could be. But the other thing is this. Here's the other part of this that people don't know. And I really wish you do. Saturday night, August 16th, live from Mexico City, is Triple Mania 33, the 33rd Triple Mania from the CDMX in Mexico City. And on that night, there's a fatal 4-way for the Mega Copion, the Mega Championship. Dominic, Dragon Lee, El Grande Americano, and the reigning champion himself, El Hijo de Vecino. It's a fatal 4-way. It's not the main event because traditionally, and if you know Lucha Libre, traditionally, if there's a wager or a match of apparatus, which is hair versus mask, that traditionally is the main event. As of now, we haven't heard anything yet. But this matchup could be co-main. And if it is, there's a lot of people that think Dom could win it all and become the champion. So we will see how this plays out, but this has a lot of stakes because Dragon Lee is a big name. Dom is a monster name in Mexico. When he showed up, he got popped. And I mean in a good way. The fans went nuts for Dom. He was not booed. So this was a solid matchup. This was about a 2.5-star bout. But again, the only reason why we're talking about this is because there's something bigger in about a couple of weeks on that Saturday, the 16th, in Mexico City. And oh, by the way, for all you fans out there that wants to see this match, WWE is throwing you a major bone. You can watch this event on their YouTube page, the WWE Network YouTube page, on that night. You'll get to see it live. And they'll have it in English and in Spanish. So nothing more to say, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Well, first off, I gotta cue the late great Vince Lombardi. What the hell is going on over here? I mean, one El Grande Americano is good enough. Two, it's getting to that borderline crazy thing. But this is really crazy. Now you got three, because, I mean, obviously we think Pete Dunne is the second one, but who's the third? I mean, I really, 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 really don't know. I mean, but yeah, and because of all that, that's why Dom was able to win this match. So, 2.5 stars is my rating on this. So, it's yours, Florio.
Yeah, it's another 2.5 for this. The Americano thing is a textbook case of taking something that worked against all logic and overdoing it to the point that it loses its effect. Who knows what form this will take, but it's hard not to think it will lose sight of what endeared Chad Gable's incarnation of the character to fans in the first place. And Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles was fun at SummerSlam, so if the idea is to run it back, so be it. So be it. 2.5, 2.75, but a little more towards 2.5. So not much more to say there. We move on now to another in-ring segment here. After defeating Lyra Valkyria to retain her Women's Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam, Becky Lynch hit the ring to address her win and look forward. She teased opening the floor to new challengers, then backtracked on it, only for Nikki Bella to arrive on the scene. The two traded barbs before Lynch took it a step further, responding to comments about her husband, Seth Rollins, and his lies by taking a shot at Nikki Bella's previous relationship with John Cena. Inevitably, Nikki Bella laid down the challenge for a match, but the man leveled her to close the segment and stand tall. Michael Bullock, as we always say, they went there. Becky went there.
Yeah, she went there and then some. I mean, wow. I mean, well, like you said, I mean, first, I mean, obviously, Becky Lynch was bragging about how now she's got Lyra basically behind her and moving on to different things, and basically, and even taking shots at the fans there, and then Nikki Bella shows up and basically criticizing the way Becky's been, and even mentioning like how, and Becky even first mentioning how she got cut from that Happy Gilmore 2 movie, which, oh, by the way, you people can check out on Netflix. I've actually had the chance to watch it. So, and then basically Nikki Bella basically went there again, saying, especially even criticizing her Becky's husband, Seth freaking Rollins, and then Becky really went there and then some. Basically, you could have had what I had, but with you, and oh yeah, you can't see him anymore. And as soon as you and Florio, you heard that crowd. You heard that crowd. They were literally gasping the moment she said that. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
they were saying that holy bleep, and and I don't know about you guys. I thought it looked like Becky. I mean, not Becky. Nikki Bella was getting ready to. It looked like she was gonna tear up. I mean, I'm glad at least they went there with that, because I'll tell you this: if Becky took it a step further with the previous marriage that she had, that, well, we all know the story with the previous, well, the marriage to, well, the former Dancing with the Stars, that piece of crap known as Artem. We all heard the stories about that. We don't need to get in. I'll tell you what, if they went there with that, oh, I think Becky Lynch would have heard it from the crowd. I don't know about you guys. If she went there with Artem, I think she would have gotten major backlash on social media. So that's what I think would have happened. And Nikki basically challenged her for a women's Intercontinental title shot, and then Becky basically took a cheap shot at her and just took off. And then, of course, as you saw later on, Natalya was not pleased with the stuff that Becky pulled, and even challenged her to a match. And she said, "Challenge accepted," and then see you next week. And Becky's like, "No. I didn't mean you. I meant Maxine Dupree." That's basically Becky pulling a fast one on her, thinking that, oh, you're gonna be. You think I'm gonna be facing you, Natalya? No, I'm facing the weak link on your team in Maxine Dupree. So we'll see what happens with that. But so yeah, this was a really good segment. So there's really nothing more to say. Florio, oof. Becky really went there and then some. Oof.
The crowd's reaction to Becky Lynch's shot at Nikki Bella involving John Cena was extraordinary, and proves there is nothing like a good peek behind the curtain to pop the audience. Now, I will be honest here. Nikki Bella is not the most thrilling opponent for Becky Lynch. But if the prospective opponents can bring the fire on the mic, which they did last night, with flicks of reality mixed in, it could prove to be a more enjoyable path to their eventual match than anyone would expect. So that's all I can say on it. So I was not thrilled at first, but then I kind of tuned out for a little bit. But then when Becky dropped the Cena line, I'm like, okay, you hooked me back in. Okay. Because when I saw Nikki Bella come out, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. We're moving on from Lyra to this?
I'm sure you must have been like, oh, this is the time for me to take a cat nap.
I thought about it, but then when Becky dropped the Cena line, yeah, that did it.
Yeah, you got me woken up again.
Like, okay, I'm willing to see
Okay,
where
I
this
see
goes.
ya.
I'm willing to see where it goes. So, I'm thinking maybe Paris. That's my guess. So
yeah, this just got started, and already it's personal now.
Absolutely is. Absolutely. So there isn't much more to say about it. I mean, I know if we had our Raw chat last night, we would have lost our minds. But then again, MF, if we had done something among those lines, and you heard what Becky said there, dropping the Cena line on Nikki Bella, I know you would have lost your mind.
Oof. That's harsh. That was harsh. But again, if you're gonna make Becky Lynch an ultimate heel, you're gonna make her a dastardly heel. You gotta pull those triggers sometime and do some dirt. And boy, she did her dirty, man. That was a wow. And then some. I was floored when I saw that. That definitely left a mark and then some. Yeah, there's really nothing more to say. This was exactly what it needed it to be. A solid segment, to say the very least. It was, but like you said, it was the minute she threw the bars when Becky and Nikki started throwing the bars about the hot. Of course, she ripped on him about being, a liar, just like Seth freaking Rollins is. And then Becky just filet mignon Nikki Bella. It wasn't just like she could have gone with the Artem shot and it would have been a devastating hit. But no, she went there and went with the scene. She pulled the Cena card out. And even the fans in Brooklyn knew, oh no, you didn't have to do that. Like, it's one thing. She could have gone with the Artem thing, and that would have been fine. But no, she went for the ultimate gusto. She went for the ultimate knockout, and she threw the Cena card. And oh my God, the pop in Brooklyn was insane. So yeah, no, they hook, line, and sinker. We got hooked on this one last night. So nothing more to say. Florio, go.
Oh man.
What do you think it would have gone too far if she did mention Arnold because of all the drama that has happened with the two of them?
I mean, yes, you definitely could have, and I know a lot of people would have been a little squeamish about it, but for her to pull the Cena card, that was harsh. Like, what that relationship went through, and the whole 9 yards.
And for those who don't remember, I mean, it was WrestleMania 33 after John Cena and Nikki Bella had beaten The Miz and Maryse. It was John Cena who proposed to Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
She said yes. And the wedding never happened.
Yeah.
And that is why so many people have gone after Nikki Bella.
It was a sham of a moment, and to make matters worse, they didn't do any pyro. There should have been pyro at that moment.
Yeah,
but
opinion. It was kind of a humanized moment. I don't think you wanted to take it overboard. But also the thing that I kind of feel here is that it just based off the information that I'm hearing, Cena had cold feet. He didn't want to do it. So Nikki was all for it. She was all in, but it looked like Cena backed out. That he was the one that got cold feet and didn't want to do it. So that's why that happened. But as you can tell now, Cena actually eventually did get married years later to another person. So did Nikki. And we all know her thing. So I mean, yeah, this was wild. This was wild to say the very least. So nothing more to say. Go ahead, Florio. Back to you.
All right. And 3 matches on the fight card for next Monday Night Raw, which will be in Quebec City, Quebec, Canada. Like Bullock mentioned, it'll be Becky Lynch one-on-one with Maxine Dupree. And how about this for a double main event? Sami Zayn versus Rusev. And Naomi will defend the Women's World Championship against Io Sky. Whew. That's going to be something. Main event time for the World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Seth freaking Rollins, with the Oracle, Paul Heyman in his corner, defending against LA Knight. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed barred from ringside. But we still got some chicanery. CM Punk hops the barricade, attacks Seth freaking Rollins, and as a result of a disqualification, the winner and still the heavyweight champion of the world, Seth freaking Rollins, he wins by an apparent disqualification in an even 14 minutes. But wait, there was more. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker eventually show up. And then the numbers game, 3-on-2. Rollins, Breaker, Reed, all over Knight and Punk. Enter the OTC, Roman Reigns. And Roman gets laid out. And Bronson Reed steals another pair of sneakers from the Tribal Chief. We're looking at a six-man tag. We're looking at Rollins, Reed, and Breaker.
Well, hold on just a minute, Florio, because the rumors I've been hearing that this was a way to write
off Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns. So I know you were talking about a potential 6-man tag, but the thing is,
maybe he's
going to be taking some time off because he's going to be filming that Street Fighter movie.
Oh, the Street Fighter movie. That's right.
That had to be. It had to be. So
you know what?
Maybe a 3-way. Maybe Rollins versus Knight and Punk. Maybe. But here's the thing. I don't know.
Hold it off for now. But we might have another match. Hold the thought here. Add one more member or 2 more members aside. Petco Park, San Diego.
War Games.
Well, it just said it. I don't need to say any more than that.
But now I'm lost in all this. I don't know who's supposed to start it off. UMF, me?
I believe it was supposed to be me anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, by an apparent disqualification, even 14 minutes, still the champ, and all that craziness at the end.
Yeah, all that craziness was absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, I mean, was I disappointed that that's how it went down? Yeah, but, I understand why they did it. It was still a solid matchup. I think they did a really good job with it at the end of the day. There's going to be a lot of questions about what's going to come down the pipeline, but this was a solid match, and I really got nothing more to say. I think this was at least a 2.5-star bout. So, Bullock, it's yours.
I'll give this about maybe 3.25. I mean, I'm dropping it down to that because it ended in a disqualification. But yeah, this is basically just to show how strong this faction is, and with them taking out all LA Knight, CM Punk, and the OTC. So yeah, we pretty much said what we had to say on it. So it's yours, Florio.
By default, the fight of the night, even with all the craziness, it is almost astonishing that WWE has not taken advantage of how over LA Knight is by putting one of its top 2 titles on him. He is a headliner in waiting, who, for whatever reason, has not been deemed worthy of that one final push to the top. The interference from CM Punk made sense and probably should have come earlier in the show, especially if the idea was that he was that pissed off about what happened to him and his championship reign Saturday night. Seth Rollins having 3 legitimate babyface contenders to his title, with Jey Uso also waiting in the wings, is the right call. It sets up several matches for Rollins throughout the rest of the year before he gets to either his WrestleMania 42 program with CM Punk or Roman Reigns. 3.5 stars by default, the fight of the night, even though it was not the exact way we wanted it to end, honestly. So not much more to say on this. So we'll get to our overall review here. And Michael Bullock, you started off. solid, not overly spectacular show last night, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it was solid, but not overly spectacular. I mean, there were some things I thought that definitely could have been better, but all in all, I don't think it was that. I still think it was a good show. I mean, I'll even say it like this: it was good, but not great. So I'll give this about maybe 7 out of 10. So it's yours, Florio.
7 out of 10 for me. This was definitely not the red hot show one would have expected from the post premium live event edition of Raw. In fact, it was not until the final 2 segments of the night where there felt like a sense of creative urgency, as if the 2 programs represented by them figure heavily into the top of the card on Monday nights for the foreseeable future. The lack of substantive follow-up to Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky versus Naomi, and the abundance of lazy booking in the numerous "you want a match" confrontations, not to mention a relatively flat opening promo segment out of Rollins and the Vision, weighed this one down. Still, the final 2 segments were strong and left a lasting impression, so that is enough to sneak the overall rating just past average. So 7 out of 10 for me. MF, your overall thoughts, and then we'll get into what appears to be another ho-hum NXT here.
Yeah, it's about 7 out of 10. But the thing is that, like you said, coming off of SummerSlam, you needed a minute to breathe. I think this is that way. It's just kind of like, yeah, it was fine, but again, you know that they needed it to take a step back because holy freaking crap, that weekend was nuts. And it's almost impossible to try to top that in any grand scheme of things. You were going to have to take a step back, take a breather. So let's take a breather. Let's explore the options, what happens down the line, and then we go from there. So maybe the build-up gets a little better, but right now I'm not mad with the way that they did. 7 out of 10, fine. Florio, is yours.
Okay, so with that being said, let's now get into NXT. With NXT Heatwave coming up on August 24th from the Lowell Memorial Auditorium in Lowell, Mass. WWE has a couple of weeks left to build up the card into something fans will want to see. So with that, let's start it off. We started off with Blake Monroe squaring off against Kalani Jordan. And Kalani Jordan actually wins this match via a countout in 5 minutes and 18 seconds. This match had a quick pace and some good physicality, but Jordan Grace ended up chasing Blake Monroe away after only a little over 5 minutes of action. The referee counted Monroe out as Grace chased her to the parking lot where Blake escaped in an SUV. Started strong, but didn't have nearly enough time to really get going before a countout finish. So I could probably, if I had to put a rating on this, it would probably be around 2.25, 2.5 stars. So MF, clearly, Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace on a collision course. I'm thinking it's probably going to be Heatwave when they finally throw down.
Yeah, absolutely. 2.25 stars. It could have been a lot more better, but at the end of the day, it served its purpose. I'm not mad about it. Could have been better, but yeah. Bullock, is yours.
Yeah, 2.25 stars. I mean, it definitely could have been better, but yeah. And of course, now, as we found out later in the night, it is official at Heatwave. It'll be Jordan Grace against Blake Monroe. So Jordan will definitely have a chance at retribution. So, yeah, nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
All right. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but we have a championship match. But this championship match is actually a cutout here. NXT Tag Team Championships on the line. The champions, Hank and Tank, defending against Kale Dixon and Uriah Connors of Chase U. Winners of the match in 3 minutes. That's right, 3 minutes and 33 seconds. And still, the NXT Tag Team Champions Hank and Tank. Yeah. We are most assuredly going to bypass this. After it was a short, fast-paced bout. Hank and Tank retained by hitting their finisher on Dixon. Sadly, second match in a row that felt like it didn't get nearly enough time. And I could probably, if I had to put a rating on this, it probably would be maybe 1 star. Maybe 1 to 1.5, honestly. But we are going to address this, though. Then there was a backstage moment. Fatal Influence were chatting backstage, and they were approached by the personal concierge, George Iceman from TNA, who said that Ash by Elegance sent him to inform Jacy Jayne that Ash by Elegance will challenge Jacy Jayne for the Knockouts Championship this Thursday night on TNA Impact. Oh, by the way, this match, a part of the tapings that myself, Michael Bullock, and our dear friend Mike Silvera went to almost a couple of weeks ago at the Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island, and you'll see what we saw come Thursday night, or MF anyways. But Bullock and I, we saw it live as well as Silvera. So but anyways, then we move on to now we've got a relevant thing to get into here. Miles Bourne squaring off against Lexis King, and Miles Bourne wins the match in 9.5 minutes, 9 minutes and 30 seconds. So MF, Miles Bourne defeating Lexis King, 9:30.
Yeah, solid matchup. A big win for Miles too. This is probably one of his biggest wins yet on NXT. But no, this was a solid matchup. I thought they did a good job with it. The outcome, not really in doubt, but because Lexis King is kind of fallen on hard times lately, taking a few unnecessary losses here. So yeah, big win for him. Good outcome, and nothing more to say. Bullock, it's yours. About 2 stars.
I'll give this about 2.5 here. I mean, yeah, big win for Miles Bourne here over Lexis King. And yeah, Lexis King continues to free fall. So who knows what happens from here. So it's yours, Florio.
I'm going to give it 3. This felt like a pretty typical NXT match, which is neither a good or bad thing. All it means is that it had a quicker pace than what we usually get on the main roster, which can have its pros and cons. Solid match with a clean finish. It probably won't be the last time these two meet. And MF mentioned it. The crowd really loves Miles Bourne. He's very personable and has a very inspiring story. And yes, Lexis King has fallen on hard times, yes. But if you've noticed, he's gotten himself in much better shape. And it has led to him being able to move around at a much quicker pace. So, solid 3 stars for me. And then we move on. Oh, Bullock, you're not going to like this. Thea Hale squaring off against Nia Jax. And to make matters worse, Nia Jax, no surprise, Nia Jax wins the match, 9 minutes, 34 seconds. But then Lash Legend shows up. And then these two basically went at it like Sheamus and Rusev did on Raw last night. And Ava, well, we talk about angry Adam Pearce. How about angry Ava? Ava was so fed up. She's like, I'm done with this. Next week, Nia, Lash, you're going at it next week. So, Michael Bullock, I mean, sorry, man. Nia Jax, she's your problem now.
And that is the last thing I need is this bully. So many other things I could say about her, but I'm not going to go there. So, I mean, it was this match was better than what I thought it was going to be. But I can only give this 2.25, 2.5. So, I'm not going to waste any more time on this. I'm not going to deal with this oh, this person, I just can't deal. I just can't deal with her. So it's yours, Florio.
Well, like it or not, you got to deal with her again next week, but this time against Lash Legend. So
God, I hope Lash Legend can teach this woman some respect.
Be a woman fight, no doubt. So, all right. Another 3 stars. This was the usual David versus Goliath kind of bout. Nia did her usual thing of dominating her smaller opponent while they had occasional comebacks that were eventually halted by the Annihilator. Nia gets the win, which was expected. This will not be a one-match feud, so Thea Hale will probably get the victory in their next encounter. It just might take a little while because Nia Jax immediately gave an interview about Lash Legend with Kelly Kincaid, and Legend came out and got into a fight with Jax that was immediately broken up by the Gestapo security guards. Thea Hale is a pretty strong competitor. She might be able to lift Jax, but they made it look like she couldn't. And the way Hale fell when she tried to hit a clothesline was so strange. It was like Nia was supposed to sell it and forgot. But nonetheless, solid 3 stars for the effort. And nothing more to say. MF, Nia Jax defeating Thea Hale, 9:34. But next week, Nia Jax versus Lash Legend in a Be a Woman fight next week.
Yeah, and this actually stems back because of what happened at Evolution, where when Nia Jax got eliminated by Lash Legend, and Lash went all the way to the end. Even though she had an incredible performance, she eventually did fall to La Primera to Stephanie Volker that guaranteed her a shot at the title in Paris. But Lash opened the eyes of a lot of people that night, and Nia's a little pissed about that. And you know, she's like, this little bleep, you know, takes me out, thinks, and now everybody thinks he's the next big thing. I'm gonna put you in your place. So I get it. Bully tactics, whatever you want to call it. These two were just like, you know how this goes. You're not gonna mess around. One person's not gonna give an inch, the other isn't gonna give an inch. I felt sorry for Ava, but Ava did the right thing. You can't let this go. You cannot let this simmer anymore. This has already got to the point where you're like, you know what? You two want to destroy each other? Fine. We'll do it as a sanctioned match. We'll do it next week. I'm cool with it. So, we'll see how this plays out. Florio, back to you.
All right. So with that being said, we move on now. You can't have an NXT without a revolving door segment, but this might be one of the better revolving door segments here. NXT champion Obafemi came to the ring and said he is the most dominant champion in NXT history. He said he has beaten everyone there is to beat before TNA heavyweight champion Trick Williams came to the ring. Javon Evans then comes out and got involved in the discussion. He suggested he and Williams fight for the next shot at Femi's title, which Femi loved. And then we had a special guest, Moose. Moose came to the ring and said he would win the TNA championship from Trick Williams. As they were all talking, Dark State came out and attacked them. Femi, Moose, Evans, and Williams ended up getting the best of them. This was one of those segments that had a lot going on, but didn't end up accomplishing much in the end. But guys, it was announced that next week, we're going to have an 8-man tag team matchup. All 4 members of Dark State versus Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Moose. The classic, how are they going to coexist match. So let's see where that goes. And of course, as we all know, TNA Emergence, Friday night, August the 15th from Baltimore. It will be Trick Williams defending the TNA Heavyweight Championship against Moose. And during one of the TNA tapings that you're going to be seeing over the next couple of weeks, starting this Thursday and the following Thursday. One of those nights, you're gonna see a confrontation with those two. So that's all I can give you there. So if you want to talk about the segment, we can, or if not, we can just move on. It's completely up to you guys.
I'm not really in the mood to talk about it. Let's just move on.
Fair enough. All right. And then there was a funny little moment here. Prior to now I'm trying to find where this happened here. There was I don't know if this was where it was. All right. Okay, here we go. Yep. This after this, Ren Sinclair was trying to cheer up Charlie Dempsey for losing Tavion Heights from the No Quarter Catch crew. Ren tried to cheer Charlie up by singing Joe Henry's entrance theme. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Henry. And then what happens? Joe Henry bursts out of a freaking refrigerator. And Henry handed Charlie a coat to cheer up Charlie. He tossed it aside. Charlie said Joe is viral like a virus. And Ren said Charlie doesn't know about doctor stuff. He just likes Grey's Anatomy. And Joe said he can cheer Charlie up with a match next week. And Ren accepted on Charlie's behalf. And then Ren takes a selfie with Joe Henry. Starstruck. So there you go. Next week, we can also add Joe Henry versus Charlie Dempsey to the NXT card for next week. So,
I would say straight up, if we were doing this live, this would have been my oh no moment when Joe Henry shows up.
Oh, let me tell you. When Bullock, Silvera, and I went to that TNA taping a couple weeks ago, nobody, I repeat, nobody was more over than Joe Henry.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. I believe it.
My top three, in no particular order, Joe Henry, the Hardys, Mike Santana. So, and Bullock and I, we did the bit, we sang the song, and oh, man. So, but anyways, let's get into our next match here. I think we have a cutout here. Yes, we do. Channing Stacks Lorenzo squaring off against Yoshiki Inamura. Channing Stacks Lorenzo wins the match 3 minutes and 19 seconds with a little help from Ariana Grace. Now, there is a backstory here. Ariana Grace and Channing Stacks Lorenzo are engaged to be married. They're fiancés. So it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a tie-in to this. It looks like art and life are going to come together here. But as far as the match concerned, another match, it was basically another match that felt way too short on this show. Another 1 star or so effort. And Josh Briggs seems better suited to being a mean heel. He spent way too long trying to be a good guy. It'll be fun watching him be a monster badass heel. So another fight. All right. And then we had a promo segment. Ethan Page came out and bragged about beating Santino Marella last week to retain the North American Championship. Tavion Heights interrupts his rendition of the Canadian national anthem. And then a surprise appearance by Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis. And she admonished Tavion for interrupting who she called one of the greatest Canadians. It looks like this will lead to a mixed tag down the road. And I think also eventually a Tavion Heights versus Ethan Page North American Championship match, maybe at Heatwave. So very interesting there. So, and then we move on to the main event of the evening. But before that, let's run down the table for next week. Lash Legend versus Nia Jax. Obafemi, Moose, Trick Williams and Javon Evans versus all 4 members of Dark State in an 8-man tag. Fallon Henley and JC Jane will square off against Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan. And we'll also have Joe Henry versus Charlie Dempsey. So a loaded show next week. Main event of the evening for the NXT Women's North American Championship, the champions Sol Ruca, with Zarya in her corner squaring off against Tatum Paxley, with all of her fellow members of the Culling in her corner, Sean Spears, Nico Vance, and Izzy Dame. Craziness, the order of the day, and the winner of the match in 11 minutes and 43 seconds, and still the NXT Women's North American Champion. It is Sol Ruca. Tonight's show had a very low bar to clear, and this was easily the best match we saw all night. They brought a lot of energy to the ring, had some great spots that showcased Sol Ruca's high-flying ability. And Tatum Paxley is great at playing her character, but her character does not have long-term potential. She is going to need to grow past this gimmick at some point. Sol Ruca's moonsault to the floor looked great. Paxley's twisting moonsault was cool, but Ruca was just a little out of position to take the full impact. The Soul Snatcher, incredible. And then Nia Jackson, Lash Legend, basically doing what Sheamus and Rusev did last night, brawling all over the building, including an oh my God spot. So where they crashed through the barricade there. But nonetheless, Sol Ruca still the Women's North American Champion, 11:43, the time of the fall, MF, on what was otherwise a meh show. Easily the fight of the night by a country mile.
Absolutely, fight of the night. No disagreement here. And yeah, I thought they did a really good job. Could have been better in certain areas, but I'm not gonna be mad about it. They did a good job. Like you said, fight of the night. Yeah, 3.5 stars. Florio, Bullock, it's yours.
And 3.5 stars for me as well.
Yeah, 3.5 stars for me. Easily the fight of the night, no doubt. On what was another ho hum edition of NXT. So nothing more to say. Let's just get into the overall thoughts.
MF, like I said, show, middle of the road.
Yeah, this is another, you could say between 6.5 and 7. Not the greatest episode in the world, but it served its purpose. It was fine. Nothing more to add. Bullock, it's yours.
I'll say 5 to 5.5. This was just, not too many good matches here. Yeah, you did have some, but it was just, yeah, not good. Not good. 5.5. It's yours, Florio.
Tonight's NXT had a lot packed into it, but it ended up being to its own detriment. Most of the matches we saw felt rushed and too short, which made it so only one bout from the evening stood out as anything worth taking the time to watch. Sol Ruca and Tatum Paxley had the best performance of the night, but Nia Jax and Lash Legend's nearly 2-hour fight was a funny addition to the show. It feels like NXT is in a weird period right now where it has tons of talent but doesn't know what to do next. Hopefully Heatwave gives us a good idea of what we can expect for the rest of 2025. I'm with Bullock on this one, 5 to 5.5 out of 10 for me. So with that will put the bow on this latest installment of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. And we will be back with you. And now, just to clear the elephant in the room here, TXN Sports World still on a hiatus for only a couple more weeks. But TXN Sports World will be back on Thursday night, August 21st, for our regulation season finale, where we will preview the college football and NFL seasons. And then, of course, Thursday, August 28th, will be the season premiere of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. And then Friday night, which I believe is September the 5th, will be the premiere of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. And the Cerebral Smack Talk will then move over to Saturdays. So that's the story on that for that future content. But as far as this week is concerned, we will not have TXN Sports World this week, so we will next be with you on Friday night around at our traditional start time, 10:30 or so. MF will have it. Braves Fan 95, Cerebral Smack Talk, TNA Impact from the Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island, and of course, we will also have Friday Night SmackDown, and time permitting, MF will address the Big Three and the final week of the regular season in the Big Three, and then we're on to the playoffs. So we got a log jam at the top of those Big Three standings. Let me tell you that right now. So, and then 1 week from tonight, we come back here and we do it all again. Ridiculously Raw, as we continue on the road to Clash in Paris on Raw and NXT Heatwave. So that's it. So until Friday night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Braves Fan 95, this is Anthony Florio here. For Good Ol' MF, Michael Fletcher. For the Phenom, Michael Bullock. And in spirit, always and forever, our First Lady of Talking Wrestling TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw the Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed rest of the week. And until Friday night, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you, beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.